Hi, thanks for joining me for installment 8 of The Benefits of Being an Octopus by Anne Braden. Today we're picking up on page 87. Okay, Google, start a timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes, starting now.
I was totally right, wasn't I? You do have some boy thing going on. I do not. Say it then, she says. Say what? Say, there is not a single boy in this hallway that I could be interested in. You're ridiculous. And too loud. Say it. You should get going to your homeroom, I say. Aren't you going to get a detention if you're late again? Say it. I shake my head and walk away, past the boys, without looking at a single one of them. You didn't say it, Fuchsia calls after me. Fuchsia might have been the only girl willing to be friends with me when I moved back to town in 5th grade, but she doesn't always make it easy. During this week's ACE period, Ms. Rochambeau is going on and on about supporting your position with evidence. Too bad I'm pretty clear on my position already. It's, I don't belong in ACE period debate club, and I've got plenty of evidence to back it up. Evidence number 1, hermit crabs in the science classroom don't look down on me. The cat drawing girl, whose name is apparently Lydia, is another story. I'm pretty sure she keeps shifting her notebook away from me. Matt hasn't even noticed I'm here. Evidence number 2, the hermit crabs need me because no one deserves to live in a filthy tank, and Lydia and Matt definitely don't need me. Evidence number 3, I stop when I realize Ms. Rochambeau is passing out worksheets. I sneak a peek at Lydia and then a super quick one at Matt. Both of them are already starting to read it. Hopefully this can be like group work during regular classes where the other 2 people do the talking, and my contribution is to not yell or throw up on anything. And look, 20 minutes later, when it's the end of ACE period, my worksheet is throw up free. Victory is mine. And I don't care that Ms. Rochambeau raises her eyebrows when she picks up my worksheet and it's blank. I'm here, aren't I? No one can force me to do more than that. 2 periods later is social studies, and Ms. Rochambeau is coming around to collect an essay that's due, that I've yet again done a wonderful job of not doing. Zoe, she whispers when she gets to my desk and I don't have anything to turn in, I'd like you to stay after class so we can talk. I don't say a word or even nod, but she walks away like I've agreed to it. Sure enough, when there's just a few minutes left of class and my tentacles start working to gather up my papers, Ms. Rochambeau, who has been reading us excerpts from Daniel Webster's Henry Clay's and John Calhoun's speeches in Congress about the Compromise of 1850, wanders over to my desk without missing a beat and rests her hand on my notebook. It doesn't matter how many tentacles I have, she's not going to let me pack up my notebook. When the class has been dismissed and I'm still in my seat, Ms. Rochambeau finally removes her hand from my desk. Thank you for staying after, Zoe, she says. I didn't exactly have a choice. Ms. Rochambeau pulls the neighboring student desk over and sits down in it. Now, she says, her big earrings bouncing off the collar of a different turtleneck sweater, we could talk about how much your grade will suffer if you don't turn in this reflection essay. But instead, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about your participation in debate club. I watch her through the slits of my octopus eyes, nice and steady. I want to know why you're not trying. I glance at the clock. And I want to know what kind of person you want to be. I want to be the kind of person that doesn't have to sit here and have this conversation. What's your next class? She asks. Computer tech, I say. So it's all the way down in the other wing. So I'd better leave right now. Great, she says without standing up. That means we have the next 43 minutes to dig into this. I have a prep period right now, and Mr. Roberts will definitely understand why you weren't able to be in class today. I'll be happy to talk to him about it over lunch. It's like my octopus body has gotten trapped in a net, but there has to be an opening somewhere if I can just stay calm and avoid getting tangled up. Marcy? Another teacher pops her head in the room. Do you have a minute? It's my opening. My tentacles spring back to life and I stand up from my chair. Sit back down, Ms. Rochambeau says to me. To the other teacher, she says, sorry, another time maybe? This is important. I slide back into my chair, in a net, and now I'm getting poked with a stick. She even thinks it's important to poke me with a stick. Important. Me. Once the other teacher is gone, Ms. Rochambeau turns back to me. She says things, but I'm not listening. No one has ever connected me with being important. The things that they want me to do are important. do my homework, bring a pencil, wear sneakers for PE. But this somehow feels different. Ms. Rochambeau has stopped talking and is looking like she's waiting for me to say something. When I don't, she says again, "Zoe, what kind of person do you want to be?" I stare down at my notebook. What am I supposed to say to that? I don't know, I finally mumble. I wait for Ms. Rochambeau to say that's okay, because I don't know almost always gets a teacher to move on. But she doesn't. Instead, she stares at me harder and finally says, "Then I'm glad you have some time right now to think about it." I shift in my seat. "Here," she says, "stand up. I want you to come over here." She goes over to her desk in the front corner of the room and starts clearing off the top of it. She moves a pile of paper to the top of a filing cabinet and then pulls out the cushy rolling chair. "Come, sit," she says. "At your desk?" She nods. "I want you to imagine you're an adult, and I want you to picture the life you want to have. Oh, and hold on." She bends down and rummages in one of the cupboards behind her desk until she pulls out a bag of pretzels. Good hard thinking is always a lot easier with food. I slowly make my way toward her desk. When I finally reach the cushy rolling chair, I look at her. "Really?" "Really," she says. I sink down into it. I rest my arms on the armrests. I lean my head back. I survey the classroom like a kingdom. Like all those hard plastic desks are my kingdom. I lean forward and take a pretzel. I'm ready to start telling myself a story about the pretzel-eating queen when Ms. Rochambeau takes a seat in the front row of student desks. "Does it feel different there?" she asks. I nod. I take another pretzel. "Good," she says. "That should help. Sometimes the walls of the hole we're in are too close for us to see anything else." I stop eating the pretzel. "Are you saying I'm in a hole?" Ms. Rochambeau doesn't move. "Do you think you're in a hole?" I feel my brow furrowing against my will. I need to be an expressionless wall that things just bounce off of, like Silas. Or, even better, so slimy that things slide right off, like any good octopus. Because if people see that they're getting to you, they'll never let up. "Of course not," I say quickly. I try to pretend that things are so easy right now that I could never even consider my life as a whole. Because it's like beautiful, flat, easy walking ground all the time now, right? Maybe some bumps along the way, but that's just like the beautiful rolling hills they show on the ads to remind people that they should come to Vermont for vacation. You know that the Ace Period Debate Club is ending and a new rotation starts next week, right? Do I know that? Of course I don't. But since I don't usually listen to the teacher, that makes sense. Ms. Rochambeau leans forward. "The real debate club is going to be starting after school next week, and I want you to be part of it." Because I've done such a great job during Ace Period, the crack slips out before I can stop it, but Ms. Rochambeau doesn't flinch. She just keeps staring me down. She can't be serious. "But after school I need to pick up your brother and sister, right?" she says. "What time does the Head Start bus drop them off?" About 3:55. "Great. Debate club goes until 3:30, and then I can give you a ride right to their bus stop. I've checked to make sure that I could legally drive a student, and as long as your mom gives consent, it's fine." She'd be willing to be my personal driver? It's mind-blowing enough that I can almost forget that we're talking about staying after school for debate club. Almost, but not quite. We'll meet every day after school except for Tuesday when there's a faculty meeting. The tournament is at the beginning of March. She gives me a hard look. I look away. "Zoe, only you can choose what kind of person you become." My eyes drift to the top of the trees I can see out the windows. Bare branches, gray sky, nothing else. "That assumes I have a choice," I say. Ms. Rochambeau practically leaps out of her seat. "But you do have a choice. You make choices every day, and maybe you can't see how they could affect your future, but they do." She is quiet for a moment and stands there. "I want you to know," she finally continues, "that I was the first person in my family to graduate high school and go to college. Since life isn't fair, it's often up to us to balance it out." I look at her. She's looking back at me like she's trying to explode me with her eyes. "What made the difference for me," she says, "was the advice someone gave me back when I was in middle school." I still don't believe she was like me. It wasn't fair, and it wasn't easy, she continues, but it was the only way forward if I wanted a future for myself. I want to look away, but I also want to know what they said. What was it? She chews on her lip without taking her eyes off me. I'll tell it to you, and then I'm going to leave you alone for the rest of the period. Okay. Are you ready? She asks. I nod. You sure? I nod again. Well, here it is. She stands up. Suck it up. Then she picks up a folder of papers and walks out of the room. Chapter 12. I'm so angry that I don't hear a single thing anyone says for the rest of the day. How could a teacher have the nerve to say something like that? How? What does she think I've been doing my whole life? All I want to do is write mean notes to leave around Ms. Rochambeau's classroom. And the Ms. is probably an unmarried Ms. because no one would marry a miserable person like that. I glare out the bus window as we pull out of the school parking lot. Stupid school, stupid teachers. They think they're so smart. They don't know anything, but whatever. Even when the oxygen level in the water drops, an octopus can still manage to maintain a consistent intake of oxygen, can still find a way to keep breathing. When the bus stops to let off the kids who live in the neighborhood near the hospital, I glance over at Silas. He's tucked into the corner of his seat, his knees up to his chest and his camo trucker hat pulled down so low that I can't tell if he can see. Silas, who has had plenty of kids trying to make his life miserable. Suddenly, I feel bad about wishing all those nasty notes on Ms. Rochambeau. Still, if I told Silas about all the stuff that I have to deal with, would he tell me to suck it up? Silas, I say. Nothing. No response. No words. No twitches. Maybe he didn't hear me. Silas, I call louder. He's like a vault of silence. He has perfected the expressionless wall. I'd bet anything he's never answered a single question in class. When we get off the bus and the other kids from the bus stop have spread in other directions, I look over at Silas again, and this time he looks back. Hey, I say. Hey, he says, all normal, like his on-off switch has been flipped, and of course, he can now talk. Why do people say stupid stuff? I blurt out. Like, stupid, I know better than you and you're just a waste kind of stuff. Silas doesn't answer. He's still walking alongside me, but his face has changed. Like it's gone back to an emotionless wall that isn't going to let anything in or out. Silas? I say. I don't know, he whispers. Then he peels off, heading up the couple steps to his trailer and disappears inside. At least that was better than suck it up. As soon as I walk into the trailer, I remember. Today is the first of the month, which means a refilled EBT card, which means a stocked fridge, cabinets with cereal, a new full bag of chicken nuggets in the freezer. I go straight over to the fridge and examine its contents. Milk, juice, eggs, yogurt, one package of uncooked chicken, and a package of ground beef. I grab a yogurt coffee. Reverse that. A coffee yogurt, shut the fridge, and dig in the drawer for a spoon. I take my first bite of yogurt and it melts in my mouth like ice cream. It's like my old competent mom is back, and that mom knows I love coffee yogurt. Because when someone is doing the best they can, you don't tell them to suck it up. The right thing to do is buy them coffee yogurt. The walk to the pizza pit today isn't too bad because it's not too windy. But the side of the road has enough puddles of semi-frozen slush that my feet are cold and wet by the time I get there. My mom is sitting at a booth with Hector in her lap, folding cardboard pizza boxes. Thanks for the coffee yogurt, I say as I reach for Hector. I slip my feet out of my sneakers and tuck them underneath me as I slide into the seat across from her. My mom looks up from her folding and almost smiles. It's a good day. Hector grabs onto my cheek and it hurts, but he's so pleased about it that I let him. Did you go to the grocery store today? I ask him. Did you get to ride in a cart? Walmart, not the grocery store, my mom says. There's a spark in her eyes, the old mom kind of spark. Like that bag of chicken nuggets was $2 cheaper than anything they have at the grocery store. And then with all the savings, I was able to make another payment on the phone bill. And that gets us closer to getting out from under that ridiculous interest rate. How'd you get all the way to Walmart? She leans forward. Well, I found out that the bus goes by the Cumberland Farms in the morning, now has a stop at the train station. So then all Hector and I had to do after that was walk over the bridge into New Hampshire and up that hill to get there. She puts another folded box on the pile. And then Lenny picked us up to bring us back home in the break between his jobs. And we'll leave off right there. We just broke page 100, so we're well on our way to finding out all of the benefits of being an octopus.